Good afternoon and welcome to the news at 12 on Metro TV. This bulletin is also live on the STV channel 277. Coming up in the headlines. Graduate unemployed registered nurses to embark on a demonstration on the 17th of May 2022 over government's inability to post them since 2019. 5 persons have been arrested by police at Gonse in the Wejagbawi municipality of Greater Accra region for engaging in illegal sand winning activities. And in news from elsewhere, at least 22 people have died and more than 60 have been hospitalized after a massive explosion rocked one of Cuba's exclusive 5-star hotels. Now on to our first story. The national youth organizer of the National Democratic Congress, George Opperado, says the Akufo-Addo-led administration have performed poorly in every sector of the economy, reassuring that the NDC elected in 2024 will cancel the e-levy, which has brought untoward hardship upon Ghanaians.
It is people who make the difference. So if somebody has been at the ministry for 6 years and almost every sector under him have seen a decline. In the last 2-3 years, state-owned agencies that were making profits are all losing money. And the same people are still there. Then clearly we are lost and we have a problem. The third aspect of all the challenges that confront us is that the president has never accepted responsibility for anything. And anytime there is a problem, he's quick to blame his predecessor. On many occasions, the blame has been President Mahama. A government that after 6 years still blames its predecessor is a government that is bankrupt of ideas. And that is where we find ourselves. So President Mahama, speaking about Ghana at a crossroads, he raised very important points. Let's take basic education, for instance. Curriculum at a basic level have been changed. And you see, we can choose to play politics and do our everyday politics. And we can also face reality. What is the state of Ghana's education under President Akufo-Addo today? So education is suffering. Capitation that goes to basic schools are in arrears over a year. Secondary education, if not for the way they have treated headmasters and the way they have, when Napo was at the ministry and some of the threats that were made, the headmasters, my own school at this other college, the headmaster was removed because of certain decisions on free SHS. And a lot of other headmasters have suffered same.
Okay.
But we all admit that secondary education has serious challenges.
Right.
That Charles has come out several times to tell us that if food supplies don't even come in at a certain time, they'll be compelled to close. Go around and look at the food that is being given to secondary schools. And many other issues. In terms of health insurance is in arrears over a year. Local governance, today as we speak, closer is on strike. So every facet of our daily economy is challenged. And that is why he believes we are at a crossroads. And he gave prudent suggestions. Basic, not rocket science. Things that he believes that as a manager of any economy, you must do. A few changes here, tweaking a few things here and there to restore confidence. People work for you. And so whether we want to do the normal politics we do every day, or we'll look at the issues and deal with it and take some words out of it. But I will conclude on e-levy.
Right.
The NDC is not against taxation. But the NDC will cancel e-levy because e-levy is a bad tax. Moreover, when you have 50,000 cedis as your capital and you choose to send it round for business through electronic transfers, immediately you send the 50,000 as your capital to your supplier, you will lose a certain percentage of it, 1.5% of it. Anytime you do that transfer, your capital will be chipping away. You can tax electronic transactions that are done to make profits, but you don't tax capital. And that one, we as a political party have been opposed to it and will continue to oppose it.
Meanwhile, Charles Bisu, a General Secretary hopeful of the new Patriotic Party, has called on Ghanaians to ignore the rhetorics of the NDC, adding they have nothing to offer Ghanaians.
Yes.
You know, they are never difficult.
Right.
So when you are in an examination condition, it is different from actually coming out of the examination hall.
Right.
And that's what President Muhammad is doing.
I see.
You understand? Because it's like going into a June exam, which you fail, which was the first term.
Right.
And now he's going in for the NOVDEC. But he's using the same materials that he failed the June exams with.
Right.
And for Ghana, it's not a country that we can actually play such games with.
Okay.
And that I forgot to do something, and that I have to come back and do it. If you're coming back, then we must be serious.
Right.
You know, and there's one thing called goodwill.
Right.
Out of consistency, then goodwill comes in.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if you look at the history of the NDC,
Right.
especially under President Mahama, you remember the NHIS where they said they were going to do a one-term premium. What happened? It never came to fruition. So it was a talk for you to actually win political votes. And then you come in. And I remember I'm from the Western region, so I'm passionate about that, where most of Ghana's natural resources emanate from there. Ghana's GDP, the biggest chunk comes from there. And I remember he promised that 10% of the oil revenue will go into Western region. When he said that, I said, this man doesn't know what he's talking about, because our type of governance is a centralized system. It's not federalism, you understand? So whatever you take goes into the center. At the time, we have 10 regions. So if you say 10% of 100%, it's moot, isn't it?
Now, the General Secretary, hopeful of the new Patriotic Party, Charles Bisu, says governments, by passing the Right to Information Bill, have shown commitment towards protecting the rights and freedom of journalists, according to critics who say government has failed in ensuring a free press using the 2021 Press Freedom Index, are only engaged in propaganda.
This government has actually shown the way. You remember when we had the criminal libel law, which was draconian? When President Kufuor came to the helm of affairs, we actually repealed it. Then the president now was Attorney General then, and he oversaw that, and it was assented to. And then journalists could actually freely come out and express their views without the threat of being incarcerated and all that.
Right.
Following that, the Right to Information Bill was also passed. This is a step in the right direction, and this government has actually shown that we would want to work with the fourth estate of the realm. For me, one thing that I've seen that they haven't included as the journalists themselves, the work that they do, because I've seen the police force interdicting their own, the military interdicting their own. We're in a system where the Journalists Association itself, it's a good organization, let me put it that way. But then we still have bad nuts in there. So as we have the civil service and all that, and it's a society that we are all driving at. So I remember a report, I think in the 2021, last year. I'll find the name of that report. It says that about 59% of journalists actually try to misinform and all that.
Right.
So I believe that they should actually angle that into, because for me, certainly I'm an example of front of some journalists which they misinform the general public. And I remember before that the Anna's expose, I think Dr. Adam Bona came to my office,
Right.
and spoke to me about security of the office and all that. But then,
Right.
then they had to go to ministers and all that. Then that thing came up. So I'm looking at the whole society, how we're driving. Like the government is saying, this is a baseline for it.
Meanwhile, the national youth organizer of the National Democratic Congress, George Opperado, said the 2021 Press Freedom Index is a true reflection of all the ills being done against journalists under the Akufo-Addo-led government. According to him, state institutions in Ghana are being used to suppress the media.
We've seen how people have been killed. We saw how Ahmed Swale was gunned down. And we saw how Kaka, who was a social media activist, he may not have been a journalist, but activities that led to his death was because he was out there posting the ills of this government. So we've all seen how these things have played out. So if anybody sits anywhere and says that he's a bit surprised about the issues that came out from these reports, it leaves much to be desired, because every well-meaning Ghanaian knew that where we were heading towards was not what we were promised. If you speak to 10 out of 9, if you speak to 10 journalists, 9 of them will tell you that they are not safe. not because somebody is running after them, but now they themselves use censorship. And the Constitution talks about censorship. If a journalist is gunned down in broad daylight and is killed because he did a story, and a member of parliament sat on a TV station, called him out and said that when you meet him, assault him. And the president of the republic, who is responsible for our safety, does not make any comment and condemn such a person, and no action is brought against such a person. Clearly, if you're a journalist practicing, you should be worried and concerned. When people are chased out of their offices because they've been critical of government, and when we talk about responsibility, it's being critical of government does not mean you're being irresponsible. When you err, we all support it. Yeah. When people cross the line, we should allow the laws take its course. We all support that. But when abuses take place and we decide to close our eyes because of our affiliations one way or the other, that is where the problem lies. We have failed journalists in this country. In the last 3-4 years, we've seen the worst form of government when it comes to issues of journalism. We've seen our media stations and radio stations have been closed down because they claim they owe.
Now, the graduate unemployed registered nurses assistant clinical and registered nurse assistant preventive have served notice that they will be embarking on a demonstration on the 17th of May 2022 over government's inability to post them since 2019. According to them, all efforts to get government to post them over the past 2 years have proven futile, adding they are struggling to make ends meet after completing school. Now, joining us via Zoom for more on this is the Public Relations Officer of the Unemployed Nurses, Tanadu Ebenezer, for more on this. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us.
Very good afternoon to yourself, Madam, and your cherished listeners.
All right. Now, how many of you have not been posted?
Madam, please, for now, even leaving out our referral batch, then we have a total population of 10,727 registered nurse assistant clinicals and preventives who are still home without employment.
All right. Now, what has the government told you to be the reason for which you have not been posted?
As a matter of fact, for now, we have not heard anything from government as to government's rationale for not posting us, because we equally have another batch of nurses and midwives, which are the degree and diploma nurses and midwives, that we equally access the portal, the Ministry of Health portal on the same day, that is 10th November in 2021. And the diploma degrees have already been given their areas of postings and have started working both in the months of February and March respectively. But to us, we are still home.
Okay, so have you had any engagements with the government previously?
Of course we have, Madam. If I would remember, we were there to the Ministry of Health for engagement on the 11th of April, and we did same on the 25th of April. The ministry made a promise that April is never going to end, and of course, we've not heard from them. It has not been easy home. It's been 3 years down the line that we completed school. So this engagement has not started from today. We have always been in touch with the ministry, and the promises keep happening. Over and over again, we go to the ministry, and the same thing we hear is that we are on it, we are working on it for you people. So looking at the kind of engagements we've had with the various stakeholders, we have gone too far with discussions. Every now and then we go there and then we have a different news altogether. That is the more reason why we have planned on a demonstration, because we understand and we believe in dialoguing, and we have exhausted all means of dialogue. That is how come we have resorted to demonstration this time.
2 years, how are you guys surviving?
Madam, it has not been easy home. As a matter of fact, our members are really, really, really suffering. because as of now, we have become a burden to the society and our family. Now, our family wanted to educate us to have a job or to be employed so that later we can give back to the family. Now, we have become a burden once again to the family, and people are making fun of us staying home because they know some of our colleagues that are already working. Now, people think we were hiding behind the gates. We didn't go to the school. Other people think we failed the licensing exams. That is how come we are unemployed. But none of them is true. We have passed the requisite examination, which is the licensing examination organized by the Nursing and Midwifery Council. We have been given our license to practice nursing in Ghana.
All right. Now, tell us about this demonstration.
Okay, so basically the demonstration is happening in Accra.
Okay.
And it is on the 17th of May, 2022. Our members are converging at the Independence Square. We are expecting not less than 1,000 of our population, and we are marching through the Sekou Tourist Street all the way to the ministry. And then, of course, we will submit a petition of our worries to the Parliament House of Ghana.
Okay. Now, what are your demands?
Of course, our terms are very simple. We have gone through majority of the recruitment process, which is we have been allowed access to the Ministry of Health recruitment portal. We have chosen our various regions. So all that we are expecting from them right now is to release the data to the various agencies for further posting processes. That is all we are demanding for.
All right. Thank you very much. We have been talking to the Public Relations Officer of the Unemployed Nurses, Tenadu Ebenezer. Thank you once again. Now, moving on to our next story. Many mothers deliver babies and leave right after for home once discharged. But for some 10 mothers at the Ridge Hospital in Accra, they will continue to stay at the facility until all their bills are settled. Rosemary Ayingba reports the affected mothers, including two 17-year-olds, are appealing for help so they can go home right now.
Childbirth is a significant event in a woman's life and a transition to motherhood. To some women, giving birth is life itself, a fulfillment of God's plan and a turning point between death and life for the woman and her baby. It is therefore the joy of every mother to return home after safe delivery to celebrate with the family. However, some mothers at the Ridge Hospital do not have the luxury of going home after delivery due to their inability to settle their medical bills. As Mother's Day approaches, about 10 of these women at Ridge Hospital have called for support so they can return home. Dinah Issaka, aged 26, is one of the mothers required to settle a medical bill of 1,423 cedis and 98 pesos.
It hurts that Mother's Day will be due and I still will be here. I plead with all to help me. I don't have any helper.
Margaret Efrifa and Mercy Kwanta, both aged 17, also owe sums of 789 cedis 54 pesos and 707 cedis 4 pesos. They were sad they cannot reunite with their family after delivery.
It's not a pleasant feeling. It saddens me that Mother's Day is approaching and I am still here. I should have been at home by now, but because my family doesn't have the means to support me, I'm still here. I have stayed here for a week, and I feel sad because I left my other child behind. I pray help comes soon.
Public Relations Officer of the Accra Regional Hospital, Juliana Haruna, also appealed for support for their mothers.
We all know Mother's Day is a great moment for everybody, especially for women. So we are appealing to everyone to come and support these women clear their bills here.
She used the opportunity to encourage pregnant women to ensure they get the National Health Insurance card, as well as start saving to ensure they don't end up stranded.
Let me use this platform to encourage our mothers, our ladies, our women. Please, NHIS is very important. Everybody should get it. And also it should be active. And also when you realize that you are pregnant, let's start saving. Start saving towards that. But these things do help them settle their bills when they come around. Don't wait till you get to the labor ward, or don't wait till you get to your 9 months before you start asking for money.
Reporting for Metro News, Rosemary Anyigba, Accra.
And Newsbeat continues after this break. Do stay. Welcome back. Now let's do more stories. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Library Authority, Hayford Sian, has urged Ghanaians to patronize community libraries in the country. He added these libraries have been equipped with the needed materials for research and learning.
Libraries continue to be one of the places people visit to, among other things, read and acquire materials for research. In recent times, technology has taken over most library activities as online reading has become the order of the day for people in academia. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Library Authority, Hayford Sian, is therefore calling on Ghanaians to patronize libraries in the country. He added 61 libraries in the country are fully equipped for the use of the citizenry.
The government then established the Ghana Library Authority as a pipeline to connect the citizens of Ghana to relevant knowledge resources. We still have high recordings of people patronizing our static library environment than even the electronic resources. Yeah.
When asked about the state of the library at Jowulu under the Senate Support Project, he said plans are far advanced to complete the library.
We've just completed the finishing of the entire facility. And so when you see that the outside is painted and our logos are on, it does not mean that the structure was completed. It wasn't. So now it has been completed. We are now going through a test run. And so as I speak to you now, there are simulations exercise going on. And after all of that has been done, the library will officially be commissioned by the management of Senate and the Ghana Library Authority.
The news team also visited the Children's Library at Accra Central, where we saw children engaged in various learning activities. Some of them shared with us their reasons for patronizing the library.
My mother, sometimes she has been working hard, so she has been bringing me here to study. She sells children's dress at Katamanto, but she has been going around with the dress. So when she close, she come and take me, and we go home.
The house is boring. If you come to the library, if you cannot pronounce some words, you can go and show it to them. They can help you and can read well. I like this place because this place is nice.
I use I break them into phonics. Then I add them together and mention the word.
I don't have some of the textbooks to do my work, so this is where I got the textbook to do my work. And the library is a quiet place for me to be able to be concentrated on my work.
The assistant librarian, Richard Obing Asante, told us how they handle students and children who visit the place.
We have activities that we run here as a static library. We have programs, we have what we call reading activities, read aloud, spelling bee, and other things. So when they come, we have a timetable that we run with them. So maybe today, for instance, like yesterday, for instance, we organize what we call competitive games for them. What we mean by competitive games, they are children learning through games. It's not always that they have to pay physical books, but they have to learn through games. So we organize games for them, like Lego Adventure, Monopoly, and others, and we have all of them Scrabbles, which is one form of improving children's vocabulary and learning new words as well.
Away from that, now 5 persons have been arrested by police at Gonse in the Wejagbawe municipality of the Greater Accra region for engaging in illegal sand winning activities. There is more in the following report.
The Weja and English Amanfum enclaves have gained notoriety in illegal sunwind activities causing severe problems, including loss of lives. Authorities say the activities in the area pose danger to nearby residents, hence the need to clamp down on the sunwinners. A night police operation on Thursday, May 5, 2022 saw the arrest of 5 persons in the act of sunwinning at Gonser in the Wejagba municipality of the Greater Accra region. 2 heavy-duty equipment used in the act were seized. MC for the area, Patrick Kumo, says considering the negative impact on the environment and the potential dangers as a result of the activities, the Assembly will not hesitate in taking swift action.
We've really laid ambush to make sure we get it. That is what we've happened this evening. We cannot sit down for our people to be destroying the natural or the nature that we have in this municipality. Look at what has happened here. They've totally destroyed what we have here.
Patrick Kumo also added that the Assembly would not countenance such activities in the municipality and caution those engaging in similar activities elsewhere to advise themselves before authorities get to them.
Government is doing everything possible to make sure we have a safe environment for everybody to operate. But we have some few people who will want to destroy the country, and we will not allow them. I'm using this opportunity to warn my constituents. For me as a municipal chief executive, I will not sit down for anybody to take the laws into their hands in this municipality. When it gets to the Assembly's attention, we'll make sure we act, and we'll act accordingly.
Now, a former executive director of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Kweku Mote, says Ghanaians, the Ghana system and measures in fighting crime are not stringent enough. He has therefore advocated stiffer punishment for persons engaged in corruption. He was speaking at a forum on transaction politics in Ghana.
The forum, organized by Crossfire Think Tank, was focused on transactional politics and its negative impact on Ghana's democratic governance. Speaking on corruption in Ghana, former Executive Director of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EUCO, Kweku Mote, noted that Ghana's systems and measures in the fight against corruption are weak and ought to be adequately addressed to check and hold leaders accountable.
I think that there's a lot that we can do to prevent corruption, to if not stop it, to limit it. There's a lot that we can do. I think that we haven't even begun. And unfortunately, we are setting standards that are far, far below our capabilities. So we need to move the standards up, and our governance will take us where we want to be. The fish starts rotting from the head. We need to set procedures, processes, and hold people accountable for them, and also encourage people who are doing the right thing. Then we as a society can get rid of that canker. People should stand by their principles, defend them, and not be swayed by circumstances.
Other keynote speakers at the forum urged public sector workers to be neutral in the discharge of their duties across the political divide.
Away from that, the head of research at the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, Benjamin Isia, has projected that diesel prices will hit 13 Ghana cedis before the end of 2022.
In Ghana, we experienced a bit shortage, maybe in the last 5 days or so, because of what we call conventional bore mooring, which we use to dog or log cargoes on the shore. Right, it had a challenge. And they were maintaining it. And because of that, most of the cargoes that brought in diesel were not able to discharge for our consumption locally. I think that has been maintained. It has been repaired because our prices are quite expensive, higher compared to our neighbors in Togo. There are people, right, that smuggle in these products into this particular economy through our border. MPA may say that they have certain structures to monitor, but they cannot monitor all. And these are revenue losses to the state. COPEC is saying that this is just the beginning. Prices of petroleum products are going to increase in the second window of May, the first window of June, the second window of June, the first window of July. So Ghanaians should expect that if the government doesn't put certain interventions in place, prices of diesel especially could reach 13 before this year ends.
Now, the head of pricing at the National Petroleum Commission, Abbas Sansi, says the current increase in prices of diesel is due to high import costs. Speaking on the Kofi Kapito show on Metro TV, he said international pressures have caused diesel to continue rising.
You will notice that the diesel prices are really rising. Russia supplied about 40% of the diesel to the European market. And you know what's happening to Russia now, sanctions, and the European countries are not able to import their products. So with this, there's a huge hit on diesel, particularly diesel and aviation fuel. So their prices are rising, one, and secondly, the cost of supplying these products have also risen. So if you look at the cost of importing, for example, petrol to Ghana, and the cost of importing diesel to Ghana, the cost of importing diesel to Ghana has more than quadrupled. And that is why you notice that previously, the price of petrol and diesel were almost the same, but you notice that now petrol and diesel is over one cedi more than petrol now. This move to zero carbon is a gradual process. There are electric vehicles in Europe and the US, but there's still a huge number of diesel-powered and fossil-powered cars in this country. So still there are a number of them. Most of them have set the target for 2030 to stop using fossil-powered cars. So there are still a number of them, and the demand for diesel is still there. And remember, diesel is also an industrial fuel. So apart from the vehicles, the industries are using diesel, like you mentioned, heating and all that. Yes. So the demand for diesel is still there. So as long as there is a demand and there's a short of supply, particularly from Russia, which was supplying over 40% of the diesel that goes to Europe. Aside the diesel that they were supplying, Russia also used to supply gas. Now, if that gas has also stopped, it means all the factories have to switch to the use of diesel. This increases the demand for diesel. So there's a huge pressure on diesel as we speak now. Luckily for us, the product is available, but there's short supply, so the price is rising. Now, we can't do anything about the price because it's globally determined. And that's how come we are seeing that the price for diesel in particular is still rising. So as consumers, what option do we have? If we want the price to be stable, someone has to pay for that price.
Moving on, the African Center for Energy Policy has blamed illegal conditions on ECG's slow response to consumers. Speaking at a media engagement in Accra, the policy led at ASAP Charles Jemfi said when consumers' needs are not attended to, they are compelled to engage in illegal activities.
If people generally are not able to find ways to legally source their power, they would also decide to find other ways to get whatever they have to get. And that is why, as a distributor, they need to be more responsive to calls like this, especially in their will to provide the needed service that the customer expects. The more responsive ECG is, the more responsive any distributor is, the lesser it would be for a customer to resort to illegal ways to connect. And there are some other people who, irrespective of how responsive the distributor is, may still resort to illegal methods. But it still behoves on the distributor to really find ways of trying to get to these ones to enable them also collect whatever fees or charges that they need to collect from them, in a bid to improve revenue collection within our power sector.
Away from that, the appeals court judge, Justice Dennis Dominic, has called for an amendment of the provision which requires a person seeking information under the Right to Information Act to pay some monies. According to him, this does not add up well for the country's democracy, hence should be reviewed.
Challenges with the RTI law. The fees to be paid by an applicant who applies to access information for public consumption is unreasonable, and the provision of payment of fees should be repealed. A person who legitimately requires information but cannot pay for the prescribed fee will be denied of his fundamental right to obtain information. In this democratic regime, information should not be sold by the public to a person who requires it for educational or other purposes. The effective functioning of the judiciary and journalism are both essential to democracies. However, their rules are different and may come into conflict. Television journalists inform and educate the people on matters of public, economic, political, social, and cultural interest through print, electronic media, and photography. The courts, on the other hand, resolve disputes and legalities in accordance with law. The courts concern themselves with issues of legality, relevance, and admissibility of information, but the journalists are not strictly bound by such consideration.
Meanwhile, at the same forum, former Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Akwesi Oponfosu, said the monetization of politics in Ghana is a major cause of underdevelopment in Ghana.
In this political journey that we've embarked on as democratic governance, we are looking more at merit than who has the funds to buy a position. Right from the grassroots, the branch to the constituency, to the region, to the national, in terms of leadership aspirations, it is who has deep pockets. It is not who is ready to sacrifice for the good of the people. It's not who can competently lead a constituency or a region or a national level position, but who has the resources. Now the person wins the elections, becomes a member of parliament. Then you expect that the person will now respond to your expectations.
Away from that, now Mother's Day is marked annually on the second Sunday in May to celebrate motherhood and the contribution of mothers in society. Ahead of the day, Ignite Media Group held a special pre-Mother's Day event with mothers at Makala Market in Accra to appreciate them. Some of the traders shared with us their struggles as mothers.
The event put together by the Ignite Media Group ahead of Mother's Day was under the theme celebrating the extreme sacrifices of mothers. The one-day event saw traders in the Central Business District screened for various health defects, including their kidneys, hearts, and eye. The women who left their goods to partake in the event shared with us their struggles as parents.
It's not easy to be a mother. It's not easy to raise a child. Even taking a seed from day 1 to the 9 months is not easy. I can use myself as an example. I gave birth to twins. It wasn't easy. So if I see a mother or if I see someone carry a baby, I really appreciate that person. So when I came, I'm amazed. I went to the optical place and then they screened my eye. What I needed, they told me, and then maybe I'll get back to them.
It's good for you to check your health. We wish all the mothers. It's not easy for you to raising up a child to become somebody to appreciate you. So happy Mother's Day.
Host of our eco program on Original 91.9 FM, Sammy B, said the program seeks to appreciate mothers who are vital to the development of any country.
And most of these people don't have access to, the finances to take care of themselves. Plus, we also have mothers who listen to us a lot. And this is a period that we need to reach out to them and appreciate, some of the things that they've done for us. So it's kind of like a reaching out project. And it's very important for some of us. You take it like our social, responsibility.
The event saw performances from some notable artists, including Adani Best, Lucky Mensa, and Radical.
We're going for another commercial break. Do stay. Welcome back from that break. It's now time for business. Now, some traders in the central business have bemoaned the impact of another transport fare increment that would have on their business. They have therefore called on government to reduce the price of fuel by cutting down taxes.
Fare increment really affects us. Today, we couldn't sell due to the rain. The little money we have will be used for transportation, which is worrying. Governments should intervene about the intended price increment. I was in a car when I overheard a discussion about possible increment of transport fares. We plead with the government to do something about it.
Bag no connect 10 cedi, I will connect 20.
Item bought today for 10 cedis may become 20 cedis. Should there be an increment in the transport fare, government should do something about it.
Omaya baby edridia omwa ne nyina ye bre ayesre na nakufo de say panichowa ena eta de wan cedi ade be chen be kro om su 2 cedi so $2 fe mo ye ho be chen ye num na ye njanko school anu achi ni.
We appeal to President Akufo-Addo not to increase transport fare.
Onsusun tufu na onsusun tu nuemem emaye because na bata de 2 cedi na ba kro nkita 5 cedi a untimi nto yesre ye nan gufe no refe ne de mane ntumu ma ye panichopa.
The chairman of the Ghana Chamber of Construction and Industry Surveyor, Emmanuel Mate, says the fraudulent activities of some real estate agencies have tainted the image of the sector. He has therefore proposed measures under the law to deal with and ensure the interests of real estate clients are secured.
Brokers and agents' activities are, I would say, a nuisance. Many of them do not have the requisite background. And so all that they know is that I've seen a house here and somebody wants to buy. There's nobody who registers or regulates them. And so at the more of times you have fraudulent people who pose as agents. They will show the house to 2 or 3 different people, collect money from them, and then they get missing. So it's a problem. Sometimes they even act for both the landlord and the tenant. So they come and say, okay, Mr. Landlord, yes, I will look for a tenant for you. Then 10% is that normal charge. He goes to look for the tenant. He tells the tenant that I have a building for you. You also pay 10%. These are unethical. So they, apart from the fraudulent deal and all these things that they do, which is a worry to most house owners and then people who rent, we need to regulate them. The estate agency law has been passed into act. So they are going under the law. We register estate agents and we register brokers, so that everybody must be registered. And then when you sell property, the records, you take records of all that has taken place. We are even discouraging cash transactions. Payment for real estate will come in the form of check.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says digitalization will strengthen the insurance industry. He was speaking at this year's West African Insurance Companies Association conference in Accra.
Founded in 1973, The West African Insurance Companies Association is the umbrella body for all insurance regulatory institutions in West Africa. This year's annual general meeting and conference brought together various players in the insurance sector in the sub-region. President of the association stressed the need for countries of Anglophone zone to speed up harmonization and integration of the insurance sector.
Product innovation, digitalization, and adaptation to new distribution channels using mobile technologies, telcos, virtual meetings, telecommuting, and call centers are the future. These activities will position us for the new realities, allow uninterrupted support for marketing, sales, claims, transaction activities, and facilitate the integration and harmonization of markets in our sub-region.
Ghana's Commissioner of Insurance believes the recapitalization will enhance and make the sector more profitable.
The ongoing recapitalization of the market remains one of NIC's crucial projects, as we believe that its implementation will set the platform for marked growth and profitability of companies within the industry. With the advent of the Motor Insurance Database, MID, motor insurance is underwritten and sold on a digital platform, and this has increased motor insurance premiums significantly. The NIC is also working keenly with partner stakeholders, such as the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana National Fire Service, Ghana Shippers Authority, etc., to enforce the implementation of the various compulsory insurances.
Having recorded growth and increased penetration over the last 2 years, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says government will deploy more digital tools to strengthen the sector.
The vision of government for the insurance industry is to modernize the provision of insurance services through digitalization, to improve on the micro and the agricultural insurance products, to expand access and strengthen the balance sheet of the industry.
It's now time for international news. At least 22 people have died and more than 60 have been hospitalized after a massive explosion rocked one of Cuba's most exclusive five-star hotels. It is believed a gas tanker which was parked outside the Saratoga Hotel in Old Havana ignited, causing an explosion which destroyed several floors of the building. The historic hotel was set for a post-pandemic reopening in 4 days. It now lies in ruins, with much of its outer wall torn off. Search and rescue operations are currently underway to locate people trapped under the debris. The Cuban presidency said the dead included a pregnant woman and a child. A school which is located directly behind the hotel was unaffected, with local officials confirming all its children have been safely evacuated. Cuba's President Miguel Diaz-Canel has visited the damaged site, which sits opposite the government's old congressional building. The president said it was not a bomb or an attack. It is an unfortunate accident. Well, before we wrap up, let's take our salutation now. Graduate unemployed registered nurses to embark on demonstration on the 17th of May over government's inability to post since 2019. Well, that's it for the news at 12. We came to you live from the Ikuya Waima studio. My name is Harriet Addy. Do well to enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a great day.